right, the Schilling Show continues on this Freaky and Free Phone Friday. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Dr. Mark Beliles will be taking a look at what's happened in America between 1976 and 2026 and the celebration of 250 years. A very interesting point of view, and I'm looking forward to it right now. We welcome Lee Schalk, the Senior Vice President of Policy at the American Legislative Exchange Council, also known as ALEC. Today's topic, reducing government waste, fraud, and abuse. Lee Schalk, thanks for joining us today on the Schilling Show.
Thanks so much for having me, Rob.
Hey, for people who are not familiar with ALEC, your organization, would you tell us what you do?
Absolutely. So ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, we're a membership organization for state legislators and folks in the private sector, the business community, other policy organizations. We've been around since 1973, so wow. 53 years as an organization. Our core principles, our guiding North Star, are the principles of free markets, limited government, and federalism. So in our view, it was the states that created the federal government, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And those principles guide everything that we do from a policy perspective. We bring together state legislators from all over the country to exchange ideas and best practices, whether that's on education policy or taxes, or even our topic today, which would be, eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse through all levels of government. But really storied organization, a great organization, and we've got members in every single state.
So I'm curious about this, and I love what you're doing. I think it's very important, but all the things you mentioned, it would seem those are contrary to the beliefs of one of the political parties. So without really naming that, I'm just curious if you have representation across various political parties who are interested in the things that you reference.
Yeah, Rob, we are a nonpartisan organization.
Right.
So we welcome anyone to the table who shares those core principles. Unfortunately, more and more these days, you see less of a certain political party
right.
That's interested in things like that. And I think you saw that play out just a couple of days ago with Vice President J.D. Vance and his task force to eliminate fraud. He invited attorneys general from all over the country, and there was a pretty significant group of them that declined to attend that event here in Washington, D.C.
Let's talk about the Vice President's Fraud Task Force. What is the actual mission, and what tools do they have available?
Yeah, so the task force to eliminate fraud, this was created by an executive order signed by President Trump, and it really created a formal White House-led structure to attempt to coordinate this government-wide anti-fraud strategy. Mm-hmm. So if you think about all of the different federal agencies that are responsible for dispatching funds to these federal and state programs, J.D. Vance has been tasked with leading this federal government-wide effort, working with the states to root out that waste, fraud, and abuse. And, I think that this is such an important issue for all Americans, and the timing of it couldn't be better. I think that what we saw, we're all familiar with Nick Shirley
yes.
and the citizen journalism that he did in exposing fraud in Minneapolis. He's been traveling the country. He's been out in California. I saw him pop up in even Cuba recently. So he's all over the place. But, this task force, I don't know that we've ever seen such an explicit attempt from the White House to go after fraud. And, I don't know about you, Rob, but this is what I voted for.
Yes.
Right? This is the type of thing, if you, as Americans, if we see over and over our tax dollars, we pay a lot of money in tax dollars, right? Mm-hmm. Federal, state dollars, a lot of my paycheck, right? If you see folks just cheating the system, taking advantage of these programs that we're funding with these tax dollars, that's a very disheartening thing to watch. And so that's why I think it should be such a nonpartisan issue, and something that's so encouraging when you see the report from just the other day. J.D. Vance said $160 billion already is what we have recovered from this national effort.
Yeah, I saw also a press release from the White House, Lee, that was maybe about 20 or 30 bullet points of things, fraud that have been discovered. And these are not chump change the amounts. There are lots and lots of multiple scores of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions, sometimes into the billions of fraud and abuse that they found. I'm thinking, we should be hearing about this at the top of the news on radio and the national news at night, and no one really says anything about it except maybe featuring the naysayers like, well, you're cutting off people who need to be helped.
Right. Rob, I think it's up to us to talk about this because we're not seeing it enough in the mainstream. And I'll give you a great example of that $160 billion. There was $22 billion in fraudulent small business loans from the COVID-19 pandemic era. So this was largely stemming from the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yes.
That was part of the COVID economic injury disaster loan program, right? So there was a scheme that involved over 560,000 fraudulent loans. And the Biden administration was aware of this, but they did not refer it. They never sent it to the Treasury for collections. And that's according to the Small Business Administration just at this last meeting of the Vice President's task force.
There's one more thing I want to get to, and we have just over a minute left with Lee Schalk, who's the Senior Vice President of Policy at ALEC. I couldn't believe my eyes. In fact, I thought maybe it was April 1st. California AB 2624, the Stop Nick Shirley Act. This is a real thing. Have you heard of that?
I have, and there's a great ALEC member in the California Assembly, David Tanguipa, who has been really fighting hard against this. And I think it gets back to what we talked about at the start of this interview, and that is that it seems like there is one party who's more interested in going after the whistleblowers than they are going after the fraud itself, and that has to change. We've got to come together as a country. This has to be a nonpartisan issue.
I could hardly believe my eyes, but as a refugee who fled out of California about 30 years ago, it doesn't surprise me. Sadly, it used to be a great state. It's no longer. Lee Schalk, if people want to get more information on your proposal, because I know that ALEC has put forward a proposal that would be model legislation, or just see other things you're doing, tell us how you can do that.
Yeah, you can go to alec.org. You can also go to alec.org/AGE. That stands for ALEC Government Efficiency Coalition. There you'll find all of our efforts to root out waste, fraud, and abuse with some great ideas for state lawmakers. alec.org/AGE.
Fantastic. Lee Schalk, it's good to have you on the Schilling Show. Thank you for your continuing efforts at ALEC. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.